have Mark Lanoue with me from Fiction Syxx, and that's Six, Syxx. Make no mistake. Singer guitarist for Fiction Syxx. Fiction Syxx also includes former members of King Cobra, XYZ, The Babies, and many more. The band just released their third full-length record, Ghost of My Father's Past. And they were on the Grammy ballot, which I want to talk about now because I know that came out. You guys were featured in 4 categories, I think, which is really, really great. Just to be on the ballot is a huge accomplishment. All these millions of bands out here. So, and I know they announced them. I don't think you guys got a spot on the final ballot, right?
No, we got beat out by old Wolfgang. I think so, but I'm glad to see that he was nominated. His stuff is really, really good. Really talented kid. So
yeah, that's a pretty good lineage there he's got. And,
yeah,
yeah. It's great to see you on the ballot though, and chance at that. That's fantastic. I know you've worked hard over the years at this, and tell me about the band. A lot of people aren't familiar with Fiction Syxx. The first thing I noticed was the spelling. Like I say, Syxx reminded me of Styx, which I'm a huge fan, and I know you guys cover Sweet Madam Blue on the second record. But tell me about the band, the name of the band, and how you guys got started.
Sure. Well, I'll start with the name. So the fiction part came from the fact that I was born on 666, and there's a little bit of the mythology to that, right? The 666 is the devil's number. The 6666 is actually both the angels and the devil's number. So it's a duality, and since I'm a Gemini, that fits pretty well. It fits pretty well to the personality. And I'm not the only Gemini in the band. JK's Gemini as well, but he tends to gravitate more towards aliens and the number 1111 and dinosaur bugs. He's got a little bit different gig in what deals with his multiple personalities, I guess. But yeah, the band itself, it started originally really kind of as a project. I came out of the band, Biloxi, my vocalist at the time, which was Clyde Holly, he passed away in 2006. And we were in the middle of finishing the third Biloxi album. It was called In the Wake of the Storm. And so I took over vocal for him, because he didn't sing anything on the album. I think he only had like one song he sang on, and he played guitar on a lot of it. But I ended up singing and finishing that album. So, but anyway, from there, I went to Chasing Karma, was another kind of transition band. And I decided, I'm going to start something else, and I want to play with a bunch of people I really like. So, it started off with JK, who I've been doing some work with Liberty and Justice for a while. We were kind of like doing a bunch of guest things on there, and I ran into JK through that pipeline, and we found that we just really kicked it off really, really well. And so we started with a song, "Welcome to My Nightmare," which was the first one that we started on the first album, the debut. Mm-hmm. And then I asked a couple bass players if they wanted to kind of play on it, and I actually talked to 2. One was Rudy Sarzo, and then the other one was Tony the Fretless Monster Frankel. And Tony, what a wonderful, wonderful individual. He just has a wonderful heart, great guy. What a talented bass player. And I love his fretless work. Oh, yeah. So he said, "Yeah, let's give it a go." So anyway, and Rory came along because Rory, I actually was in a band with in 1991, and we did one gig in Louisiana, and he and I just got together with him. I said, "Hey, you want to play drums on this?" And so anyway, kind of went from there, and then I started asking guest people like Jimmy Bell from Autograph and House of Lords. Where I know him from is I was in a band called Persian Risk with Carl Sentence, who's now in Nazareth. Mm-hmm. And he and Jimmy were in the Geezer Butler band. And so there was I ended up actually playing one of their songs from the Geezer Butler band with Carl when I was in Persian Risk. And I always remember Jimmy's solo was so smooth, and I loved playing it. So anyway, I asked a bunch of people to play on. So what turned from a project ended up turning into 3 albums. Larry Hart, who's our bass player now, came in for the second record. Tony went off to do all his other multiple things he does. And
Absolutely.
and Larry's just such a great bass player and such a great guy. And now this is pretty much the group between them and Eric Ragno. And they're just great players. Rory is an honor graduate from the Musicians Institute from '89, and he just maps everything out. It's just great. They're just great players, great people, and they make the Fiction show.
Man, it's great to have that chemistry and that talent. I mean, you listen to this record and you immediately feel it. You can hear it and feel it. There's a chemistry. You guys have been playing together for how many years now? Really, it's been quite a while, right?
Yeah, so it started in 2016. We released Tall Dark Secrets in 2017. And the first one was kind of like an experiment. The second one, we started to figure it out a bit, right? We've been playing together for a while, writing some, everybody's got to get used to each other. And by the third record, JK and I were doing lots of writing together. And one of the songs Eric also wrote with us. But I will say this, there's a lot that's said about writing, but this band would not sound the same without every single member that's in it. It's really a kind of a combination of writing and chemistry and all of their influences and all of their playing ability that really makes Fiction Syxx sound.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean that's so important for the band chemistry. I think it's great to have a great writer that brings in stuff, but for the total band chemistry, it's really great to have input from everybody and make it work. Really, and like I say, you can feel it on the record for sure. Um, how would you describe the band's sound? When I hear it, I think Dream Theater, Queensryche. I actually hear a little bit of Angel with the keyboard. It's that in that vein. What do you feel that you are sounding like when you make these records?
Well, funny enough that you mentioned Angel, Eric and I are actually originally from New Jersey, but the thing is that I don't know. It's such a melting pot of influences. We just try to sound like us, and obviously you're going to hear those twinges of influences that are going to kind of flow in and out of everything. Obviously, I was a big Styx fan, both Tommy Shaw and Dennis DeYoung. I was also a big fan of Queensryche. I was a fan of TNT with Tony Harnell, and plus I'm a guitar player, so I have influence from Gary Moore, Randy Rhoads, Ronnie Lotecro, and all kinds of players. And the same with the other guys. Some of the other guys are a little bit older than me, so they also have different influences. So you get a little bit of 70s twinge in there, maybe a little bit of 70s prog. So there's a mixture of stuff, and I like it that way. Not everybody's going to like what you do. It's just the way it is. And we live in a really weird music industry now where you might sit right in the cusp in the middle, and some people on one side go, I don't know if I like them. The other side is like, well, they're not quite metal or prog enough. So, it is what it is. But we just do what we do to sound like Fiction Syxx and write songs that have context and meaning, and the lyrics mean something, and hopefully people really dig it. So.
Yeah, and I'm totally digging it. The music's like I say, it's really, really great to hear. Really solid, really tight. For someone that wants to hear Fiction Syxx for the first time, is there would you recommend a place to start that journey?
Well, right now we're dealing with a label called Gemini Rising, which is going to be starting a new website here and a new setup. But right now we're on everything. But you can go to Bandcamp, which has all the digital tracks. It has all 3 albums in digital. It has some physical products for the new album. So they can go to Fiction Syxx on Bandcamp. It's also available on Spotify. It's available on Apple Music. It's available everywhere. So if you type in Fiction Syxx with the SYXX, it should pop up, So
Yeah, where do they start though? I mean, would you start with the first record?
Oh, yeah, I would. Yeah, I don't know. It's what's really cool about this is that we kind of changed a little bit across the spectrum from the first album to the third, and I think it's part of our growing. My favorite's the third, it's the new one. But there's some people that say, "Oh man, I wish you would do stuff like the first." I would start on the third one and work my way back. I think then you can kind of feel how it's transitioned from the beginning. So,
Yeah, that's what I did. I listened to the latest record, Goes to My Father's Past, and I made my way back through the catalog. Uh,
mhm.
and it is a great way to go. There is a little bit of a transition, but it's all Fiction Syxx. It all feels like you. It really has, it's all quality material. You say you were experimenting on that first record. It sounds like you had your vision. It really, the songs you picked for that record are great, and the band is great.
I
So
appreciate
yeah, it's really, everything's a solid listen. It's really really a fun journey to go through the Fiction Syxx material. Do you have a song on the record that holds a special place in your heart? I know they're like your kids, you know. Well,
the song one I would say the special one for me would be "Waiting Wondering." That one was an interesting one. It's really far apart from a lot of the other stuff we did because it's a piano ballad, but it allows me to showcase my voice, a little deeper part of my voice. But it also brings me back to my childhood, which we would have to have all day to talk about that. It's an interesting journey in itself. But the fact is that there was a lot of emotion in that song. I originally wrote it on guitar, and JK came back to me, no, this would be great as a piano ballad if we just slowed it down a little bit. And there you go. That's what it became between myself, JK, and Eric Randio. It's the product that's there, but it's so wholesome. It's just piano, synth, and my voice, and that's it. And it's portraying a story. So
yeah, yeah, it is. It's great. It reminds me a little bit of like a something else from Queensryche, that last piano vocal thing. It's
or
very much in that vein, and it's deep. I wouldn't. I like that. I would call that heavy, because it's gripping. It really is, but it's not heavy in a guitar shredding sense. Uh,
or
but it's a deep listen. It's really great. Um, did you start as a guitar player and then sing, or are, because you do both of them really really well? It's hard to
thank
tell what your native thing is here. How did you start? Did you start as a guitar player?
Well, funny enough, I started as a sax
Okay.
tenor sax player for the Long Beach High School marching and concert band. It ended up being first chair in college, and I left college immediately. I just had to be a rock star. So, so the fact is that I went from that and started playing guitar when I was about 17. I was a late starter. But I jumped into the 8 to 12 hour practice, just listening to everything on my mother's record collection, from all the way from Jim Croce and Redbone to
Mm,
classical music, way up to Yngwie Malmsteen. So I was listening to everything, and so I got a good guitar. Recorded a lot in Jersey and other places with guitar, and played a lot of live gigs as a guitar player. When I was with Carl, I played guitar, and even in Biloxi, my original position there was guitar. I sang backups, obviously.
okay.
But then when I took over for Biloxi, I had some vocal lessons earlier on in Florida with Persian Risk with a guy named Ron Feldman. We taught Jeannie Lee, a couple of Backstreet Boys and stuff. And he told me, you need to be a lead vocalist. You have a voice. And so ever since I thought about it, and ultimately I just stepped up to the front and started singing. So
Awesome. Awesome. Have you ever, was it hard to adjust playing and singing? I know that's a challenge for a lot of people. It's not easy, I know. That right brain, left brain thing. Was that a challenge for you when you first started singing?
the only challenge really was building confidence, and then what to do with your hands, right? I mean, as a guitar player, you have your hands. It's just security of your hands. That's what you have, and that's what you work with. And so that was the hardest part. But after that, it was hey, I love writing songs. I love writing stories. So it became part of me.
Yeah, excellent, excellent. And I love on this record the cover art too. Um, were you involved with the cover art? How did you come to pick that cover art? It's really impactful to the music. You
Yeah,
know, I'm an old school guy. You know,
yeah.
I sit with the record and read the credits. I'm not allowed to do that so much anymore. But yeah, the cover art is impactful to the music. Were you involved?
Well, the storylines on all the records, I came up with like the idea of it. But the artist is a guy in Sweden, Andre Beck, he's the Bleckmark. He did all three of our records. But they were all based on an ideology and the storyline that I had that I wanted to go with. And then he created the art based on that project.
Yeah, yeah, it's really spectacular. It's really great. Um, what would you say? You know, I know you said the first record's experimental. What's the biggest difference other than Tony being your bass player? You know, Tony Franklin at that time. What is the journey from the first record to this one? You know, well, what is the biggest difference?
More solid chemistry between each of us as people, as individuals, as musicians, as writers, as a band. And the other is my voice. I believe that my voice went to another level in the third record. I've been doing this tribute thing called Farmer Bob, doing a lot of cover songs, you know, paying tribute to all the greats. And that really opened up my voice a lot. You know, when you go from singing something like, you know, Styx and then go over and sing Badlands and then you're singing, you know, Kiss, you have to adjust your voice a lot. And, you know, and so that helped me, I think, a lot to adjust to the different tonalities and different ways of using my voice. So.
Yeah, that's excellent. You know, and I look at this and I think about, you know, the time we're in, and you know, like what's a tour look like for you guys? You know, am I going to see
Well,
you here around the Chicago area? You know, I know that the complexity and the logistics of the whole thing are very difficult, and not to mention, you know, the whole COVID, the restrictions now. Um, do you want to tour? What does a tour look like for Fiction Syxx?
well, you know, one, we would love to tour, obviously. We have family and jobs. I'm a PhD student, and I
Right.
also instruct and everything else. But the fact of the matter is that I'd love to do some festivals. I've played those before. Like I played Oklahoma. That was fantastic. It was fun. And we're going to try and do some of those things, but it's all a matter of acceptance, right? Who's going to actually bring us to a festival and, take a chance on Fiction Syxx, you know, being there. We'd have to go there a couple days early to rehearse together and then, you know, take the stage, that kind of stuff. So
Right.
it's possible and it can be done. We just have to, we're trying to work on stuff like that.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, I look forward to it, Mark. You know, and I look forward to more music. You guys got a long future ahead of you, and you know, it sure does look that way from what I hear. And you know, the Grammy ballot is that was just this year. You know, there's a next year. I see it. I see it happening, man. It's pretty
Well,
great.
writing, buddy.
Yeah, man. It's awesome. Hey, Mark, I'm gonna let you go, and I appreciate the music. I appreciate you being with me. You're always welcome here, man.
And I appreciate you, brother. You have a
All
good
right.
one.
Take care. Bye bye.